So Mike's going to walk us through a high-level overview of billing and reporting at Atlas today. Some of you might be using our legacy black and white site. And to offer you the best experience, we're going to no longer be supporting the legacy version after June 30th. So our goal on today's call is to help you get comfortable using that latest version of Atlas and answer any questions that you may have. So just a couple quick notes before we get going here. Everyone's currently muted, but you can send in any questions that you have during the presentation using the Q&A or the chat function at the bottom. And we'll answer those questions as we go during the call, and we'll answer any kind of follow-up questions at the end as well. So just one other note, we are recording the session. We will send a link to it out to everyone afterwards. And with that, I will hand it over to Mike.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking the time. As Andrea said, we are not going to be supporting our old black and white theme. Some people have asked when they know if they're on the purple theme or the black and white theme. If you see any purple or any color at all, really, you are on our new theme, and so you should be familiar with it. If you are if you only see black and white, then you should still be in the black and white theme, and you'll need to be upgrading. What not supporting it means is that it might still work, it might not. It just means if there are bugs or issues, we're not going to be fixing them so that we can focus entirely on the new version. At some point in the future, I think sometime in July, we'll be turning off the old theme. And what that means is that it will no longer be accessible at all. So just some quick terminology there. So for today's agenda, some introductions, and then I'd like to talk a little bit about billing versus reporting. This is more of a general concept level overview just to give a sense of where things live in the new system. How an account is included in billing. So again, part of the overview for billing. And then we're going to jump into the demo. Touched on some of the high levels here, and then also making sure that you're getting a good sense of where things are. There are some things. So that's the agenda. The goals for today are really to provide an overview of billing and reporting. Big number two is to answer any questions that you may have. So please put any questions that you have into the chat. Andrea is going to be interrupting me at places when questions are being asked. So please do that. If you have the question, I am sure at least 4 other people in the chat also have the question. So it would actually really help. And finally, is to show you the resources that we have to see whether or not, for you to get more help as you go. And so that's going to be the last sort of bit that we touch on. First, I wanted to just quickly touch on why we're making a new theme at all. A lot of people like the black and white theme. It is very clean. There aren't a lot of things going for it. Some of the reasons why we are moving to a new presentation. One, there's an enhanced appearance options. You can and will be able to shortly be able to customize the color palette, meaning if you're presenting to clients, you can actually do it with your brand colors. That's something that just wasn't possible in the old theme because there weren't any colors, so you couldn't customize them. We're also expanding functionality with new technology. Part of that is firm-wide reporting, which you're going to see in the demo here in a second. Overall, we do think that it is better designed. There's an improved experience, and we can make more rapid improvements because it's built on newer technology. So you'll see a lot of things, even in this presentation, on features that are coming soon. We're able to do that in a lot faster way because of the new theme and the new technology. I'm going to pause here for just 1 second. Are there any questions that anybody has right now? All right, I'm gonna like to pause for at least 5 seconds. So thank you for the silence. We're gonna go on a little bit here and talk briefly about billing groups versus households. So again, in Atlas, in Bridge, we have things that are called billing groups and we have things that are called households. Both of these are groups of accounts. Most of the time, it is the same accounts in each. In other words, if I have an account or I have a set of 3 accounts with one of your firms, my household will be those accounts for reporting purposes, and my billing group will be those groups of accounts, those 3 accounts for billing purposes. Within a billing group, you can see on the left-hand side, you can relocate fees to other accounts in the group. You can aggregate, mainly it's for aggregating assets together for calculating what the billable balance is when you're billing. The difference here is for reporting purposes in the households. One is for reporting, so if you're looking at performance, that all comes out of households. Also, client portals are determined by households. So if you're giving me access to your client portal, it's going to be based off of my household, not my billing group. And for those of you who have multiple advisors in your firms and you like to have groups available, only visible to see their own books of business, that's what we're using for permissioning in that case, households. Now, I said that most of the time they're the same in both. That's true for, I'd say, 99% of our clients. Places where it might not be. So if I have an extended family, let's say I have grown siblings as well as parents, and we all want to be collected together for billing purposes, that might be a billing group, but then each of our households get their own performance reporting. So I wouldn't necessarily see the performance and account basis of my siblings or my parents. Similarly, they wouldn't want to see mine. So in those sort of situations, the household for reporting purposes would be different than the billing group, which would be for billing purposes. The reason I flag this is there are some systems, portfolio management systems, that treat these the same. They're just called households. And so when we're talking billing, we're always talking billing groups. When we're talking reporting, we're always talking households. So when is an account included in billing? It's included when there are two things in Atlas. I have a billing group. So how do we collect the accounts and the assets together for billable balance? And then how do we calculate the fee is the fee structure? Both of these are assigned at the account level, and we're going to show you how to set those in the new purple theme. There are a lot of options that are available for billing customizations, fee relocations, billing minimums, asset exclusions, splits, billing start date. We're going to skip these in the demo just to give you a high level sense of what it looks like, but these are available, and you can read more about how to do these in our knowledge base. We've updated our knowledge base to entirely cover the new theme. So if you haven't looked at the knowledge base recently, that's at help.bridgeft.com. We'll cover that later in the presentation as well. All of that has been updated to the new site. So if you have any questions, that's a great first place to start. And then finally, on the reporting options, there are benchmarks, asset classifications, target allocation models, and client portals, invitations, management of those. Those are all available now. Finally, the sort of coming soon piece, and this is again why we wanted to make this shift in itself. Color palette controls, client inbox, which is what we call the ability to email out invoices and reports directly to clients rather than direct them to the portal. And then inception date editing. So being able to change the date from which your reporting starts. I know I've worked with a number of clients to help change those. As you're onboarding new clients, you might not want to have performance start until the account is fully allocated. That's going to be available on the front end relatively soon so that you can do it directly yourself in 10 seconds rather than coordinating with the support team to get it taken care of. Now we're going to jump into the demo, but before I do, I just wanted to check, are there any questions on anything I've just covered? Let's jump to the Q&A and see if there are any questions. Looks like none yet, so we're going to jump in real quick. So let me change my share to the demo account that we have. And we should see, this is our demo account. So again, this is all fake data. So if there's things that are wonky with the data, I hope you'll forgive them. It's meant to be illustrative of a couple things. What you're seeing here is our initial dashboard, our front page. This is what we kind of call our firm-wide dashboard. It's where you will be able to read and evaluate things from a firm basis. Basically, how well is your firm doing as a company? So it's going to aggregate all of the different reports and things together across all of your different accounts and households. Later, we'll dive into individual accounts and households to see how an individual account or household is doing. So the AUM chart, that's going to be familiar, hopefully, from the previous version. But the first thing I wanted to touch on is the firm-wide target versus actual allocations. This is brand new, only available in the new theme. This allows you to see, for example, this one test account, it's been allocated to the 70-30 model, which is actually 60, 30, 10, and 0 for the asset classifications. And this allows you to see how does this model, how does this account lining up with this target allocation? You can actually filter down. So if I wanted to say account 2, I can do that and just pull up just that one account. Here I have a couple account 2s. And I can also export this into Excel. One of the great things about the new version as well is the ability to export easily. Wherever you see the Excel, you'll be able to download it as an Excel document there. If you don't have any target allocations either created or assigned, this will be blank. That's to be expected, but we'll show you how to do some of that in a bit. The next thing I'd like to highlight on this page is the firm-wide reporting. This is going to be a way for you to get access to all of the data that you may or may not want at any point during your during sort of management of your firm. So for example, I know earlier in the year, a number of clients were updating their ADVs. They were looking for data on holdings as of 12/31/2020. This is a great way of doing that. You can come in here and say, okay, I want to show all of my holdings on, scrolling back to, oh, no, that's January, excuse me, December 31st. And I want to generate that. And that will give me a report on all of the holdings that are in the accounts here. Again, you can export directly here, either all rows or just the selected ones. And you can always edit the view so you can see which columns you want to do. All of this comes out of the box in the new theme, which is great. So if you have a request for a new type of data you'd like added in, let us know. Generally, we can add it in relatively in short order. Again, the things here are going to be transactions, tax lots, holdings, and balances. If you're a larger firm and you have a lot of transactions, you're relatively active, it can take a little while to generate these reports, so please be patient. If you're doing something smaller, for instance, let's say I want to look at transactions just from this past month, there's a limited amount of data here, and you can see kind of how quickly you'll be able to pull that up. The idea here is you'll be able to filter down on transaction types and see what's going on there. In this case, I like to also see, if you're curious, for instance, what is the total number of fees you've been extracting, and you can get a fee report of all the fees that you sort of withdrew in 2020. You can do that and filter down to transfers, transaction types, management fee here, and then that'll be able to identify all the management fees that you've done, as long as with the reported date as well. Any questions on some of the use cases here? Doesn't look like there are any questions. Please ping them in when you get them. I love being able to be helpful to everybody. There's more things here that are going to be very similar to what was in the black and white theme, but cash monitoring, how much cash is in the accounts, top holdings, billable assets, top clients. Security ownership is really something that came in here, but these are all here on the, what I would call the firm-wide dashboard, or what we're just calling the dashboard here. Revenue analytics is a new feature only available in the purple theme. What this does is it takes your previous collection of fees and sort of estimates for what your fees would be in the current billing period, whether monthly or quarterly. It's meant to be an estimate rather than a exact calculation. Again, as we're sort of putting this together, these are the sorts of things that we're able to do in the new version of the theme of Atlas, I should say. The last piece I like to touch on down here is the performance data. This is a way of quickly seeing what your performance is like across either accounts or households. So over here, you'll see the return, and you'll be able to select the time period, month to date, quarter to date, year to date, 1 year, and then you can also roll back the clock. So you can say, okay, I would like to see what my month to date returns were as of April 15th, 2021, and it'll calculate for these accounts what that performance was. Now, again, it is calculating that performance, and then we can see what those returns were. You can sort, filter, and say, what were my returns like on my Roth IRAs, for example, and do that. You can also filter if you add in columns on model. This has been we've seen this be used by a number of clients where, select all these here. You can sort of use this as a way of getting an approximation of a composite. You can say, okay, let me look at my 70-30 model and how the performance is doing there. This will show me that the weighted average return is 0.16. Now, again, that's month to date as of April 15th. You can tweak that and say, okay, what was my 1 year performance for this model or at this time frame? So this has been a really useful, we've heard from a lot of advisors that this has been very useful as a way of getting a glimpse on returns and seeing, okay, what returns are doing well, what's not. This allows us to reach out to clients if we need to, when either there's outsized gains and we need to collect those and really realize them, or if there's outsized losses and maybe having a conversation about, reallocating or just, calming down people who are nervous about fluctuations in the market. Any questions on the firm-wide dashboard? Again, most of this is new to the purple theme, and that's part of the reason why we're migrating over. All right, let's move on to billing and how that works. In the purple theme, most of the work that you'll be doing will either be in the revenue tab along the top. Along the top here is where you'll be able to see it. I know on the old theme it was on the left. Here it's up top. For billing, you're going to look at the revenue tab. Again, what we lovingly call the billing quick check here on the left allows you to see which accounts need fee structures and which accounts are ungrouped. You can click directly into billing groups here, and this is how you're going to create billing groups. So click create, click a new group, and you can call it the test billing group and add in accounts here. As in the old theme, the ungrouped accounts will float to the top, making it more easy to select which ones you want, and you can save them in there. If you want to edit or make any tweaks on those customizations that we flagged in the deck, you can click on the test billing group and edit here. Clicking on the name here is going to give you the ability to relocate those fees, change the payment source, and this is either custodian billed or directly billed. You can always add an account to an existing billing group within the billing group. And if you click the trash can, that doesn't delete the account. You can never actually delete an account. So don't worry about doing that. You have to let us know to turn off the account, but it'll never be deleted. And you can actually just click delete or remove from here. And that's actually just removing it from this billing group. That's largely how you manage billing groups. Coming in here, creating them, managing them. Again, you can export them if for any reason you'd like to, and use those as a way of seeing what the billing groups look like. For those of you that are multi-firm, you can filter down to which firm you're looking at if you're managing a number of firms or a number of sub-firms doing business under their own group. Again, we came from the revenue tab and clicked into fee structures. If you scroll down, this is where all of your billing reports are going to be. So from the revenue tab, this just gives you the quick status and the billable assets. If you're looking for billing reports and the detailed sort of billing reports that you had previously, they're still here. They're just down here a little bit. You can click in on the billing date to see the billing, the detailed billing breakout. This gives you a sense of the accounts, how an individual account was being calculated for the account period fee. If you're interested in how a particular billing group was calculated into detail, click on the calculator here on the right-hand side. And that'll give you the billable balance, the calculation details, the group billable balance, along with everything that was in the billing group, what the balance was on the day, what the assets were, the cash on the billing date, the fees that were applied, what the account fees were calculated, how many days, annual fee, all the detail that you saw before is all here again, and any splits that are affecting the billing group, any minimums, and then the summary. This gives you sort of that ability to break down and troubleshoot anything that may be looking a bit off or any questions that you may have about the billing process. For actually collecting your fees, which is obviously very important on top of everyone's mind, you can come into here. This is the billing group, coming back to the revenue tab. You can click on the three little dots here and download the fee upload file. So that fee upload file, again, is the formatted CSV or .txt file that you can then upload directly to your custodian to remove the, to draw the fees from your client's accounts into your Sundry account. Here's also where you can get your details. This does the same thing as clicking on the name. And if you run a test run and you want to remove it just to keep this clean, you can always remove it from here. If you remove it, it will be gone. It won't be recoverable. So only do that when you're sure you want to remove those things. As you can see, we've run a number of test billing runs here. So I'm going to remove one just to show you what it looks like. It says, are you sure? It will not be undone. It will also remove any associated invoices, and we'll delete that. For those of you out there that do use invoices, this is the place where you can download in bulk the invoices. You can click, there'll be a little option here that'll say download invoices. You can also view individual invoices here at invoices. There's none from the last billing report. We will populate this with the most recent billing report with invoices. The idea is to make it easy for you to find the one that's most relevant. You can also load historical invoices and see these here. You can do a preview by viewing here. This will give you a preview of what that invoice looks like in the web app, but then also you can download an invoice here. If you want to download them in bulk, you can filter down. For example, let me download all of the January 31st invoices from 2020, select and download those selected invoices. You'll notice this sort of functionality in the same way for downloading the reports that are automatically generated. Again, filter down to the date of the report and then select them all and download the selected invoices there. Any questions on any of that? I'm going to pause for about 10 seconds, 5 seconds to see if anybody has any questions. All right, nothing came up, so we're going to plow ahead. For assigning fee structures for getting revenue, we talked about how we need a fee structure and a billing group. We covered how to do billing groups. That gives us an introduction to the clients page. The clients page is where you're going to do all your management of either households or accounts. So a couple things I want to highlight here. One is if we want to create fee structures, which is what we were talking about, you can do that through the accounts page. Select an account or multiple accounts, however many you want to select. We can always filter down, and then we can apply a fee structure here.
Mike, we have a question from Chad. Can you talk a little bit about custodian build versus direct build? What's the difference between that?
Absolutely. So custodian build is when you are uploading a fee and withdrawing it directly from your client's accounts into your Sundry account. So most of our advisors will be doing a custodian build. Some advisors will bill clients directly, which is sending them an invoice and either collecting via an ACH transfer or a paper check. I guess maybe through cash, a bucket of cash that gets dropped off at your office. However you want to bill that, the key there will be one is an invoice. When you're creating invoices, for example, the directly billed client will have a form that says, this isn't an invoice, this is how much you owe. The custodian billed client will say, this is not an invoice, this is how much is going to be debited from your account. So that's the difference between a directly billed, which is collecting fees directly from the client, and custodian billed, which is collecting fees directly from the custodian, their accounts. Hopefully that helps your question, but that's a great question, Chad. Coming back to the clients here, we can assign fee structures here. Again, I talked about the standard tiered rate. You can do that and assign it. Now, the key here also is you'll notice that there are a number of icons up here in the top right. This is where you're going to take any bulk action that you want to take on an account. So for example, if I want to generate reports, I can click here and generate PDF reports for these accounts that I select. I can also assign benchmarks from here. These are the benchmarks that we have. I can collect those and say save. I can assign fee structures from here. And I can also assign target allocations from here. And I can also finally assign splits from here. The idea is that this is the center of where you are going to be taking actions on the households and accounts that you want to manage and make sure that everything is set up correctly. For actually creating the fee structures, creating the target allocations, creating the benchmarks, and creating the splits, that'll all be done through the settings, sort of on the back end of the system versus what I would say here in the front.
Mike, we have another question from Jamie. Can we upload several target allocations from a CSV file? It's a good question.
That's a great question. Currently, we can't. If you have a number, what I would say is probably more than 4 or 5. I would say let us know on the client success team and we can help you with that. It's relatively straightforward. I'll run through very quickly how to do a target allocation. It's under reporting and then settings and then target allocations. It's relatively straightforward. You can create one. Let's call it the webinar allocation. And I just select asset classes. So I want to have fixed income. I want to have equity. and then some of the custom asset classifications that I have. I want to do real estate, and I'd like to also include large cap growth. And I just set the weights here. They have to add up to 100. So let's just say I want to actually bump this up to 60, and I want to do 20% in real estate. These variances, the tolerance, positive and negative, are percentage points, meaning as long as this 20% is between 15 and 25%, it's considered that this real estate target is in tolerance. So you don't have to do math. You don't have to calculate 5% of 20%. It's just percentage points. And if I click save, that's it. So that has now been created. So again, if you have a number of them and they have a number of components, let's say you've got 10 models with 10 components each, yeah, let us know. We can update that. If you've got only a couple, 3, 4, and they've got 5 or 6 target asset classifications in it, it's honestly going to be quicker just to come in here and do it yourself. And you can always add in, edit existing ones. It's meant to be as easy as possible to update those. So for instance, I can always come in here and delete this webinar allocation that we just created, and it is gone. Great question, thank you. One of the things I wanted to highlight as well is with the new theme, we're able to add new features. One of the new features is the ability to create your own households. For those of you who have been clients with us for a while, you may have seen that you used to have to reach out to client success to create households. No longer is that the case. You can say the Sands household here, and I can add accounts in directly. Again, households are for the reporting purposes, and you'll see it here. Right now, this will show up with a 0 balance. That's to be expected. It will recalculate overnight. We're working on getting that fixed, but just so that doesn't surprise you when that happens. You can also rename households and accounts. That's also a new feature in the purple theme. So you can come in here and say, actually, let me call this the Michael Sands household, and I'll click this disk here. Again, the way I did that was I clicked on the little pencil and then edited and then clicked on the little disk to save. The same thing can be done on accounts. If I wanted to rename this Luca test account, excuse me, click on the pencil. Oh, I'm on households, forgive me. Click on the pencil, edit the name, and then click on the disk to save. I think we had a question. Is that right, Andrea?
Yeah, Mike, we have a question from Michael. Let's see here. Did the creating target allocation feature clean up the NAN value when doing decimals? He said, for example, the system would be a little funky when he was trying to use decimals beyond a 10th.
I will check on that, Michael. I'm not sure, but that's a great question. I will check and follow up with you after the webinar. So thank you for checking on that. You can also map accounts to households. So if I want to, for instance, move this Luca test account to the Michael Sands household, we can do this. So for example, we've had we've had examples where clients are getting divorced, for example, getting separated, where you need to split into 2 different households. Very easy to do. Create a new household, move the accounts into separate households, and now those are going to be separated out. Also here on the clients and accounts, just wanted to flag the columns button, because that'll allow you to select which columns you want to see. Again, you can filter down to billing groups, to firms, target allocations, different ways of seeing your data and filtering down. As always, you can select all these and export them with the download button here. And so what that does is it allows you to get your data out and use it in another system that you have, or Excel, or do whatever you need to do. So again, just to recap, this is the clients page where you're going to be able to see all of the accounts, either households or accounts, and where you're going to take most of the actions you want to do in terms of creating bulk reports, creating printable reports, I should say, assigning fee structures, benchmarks, splits, target model allocations, anything like that are all going to be done through this here. Finally, with some of the, I know we're running a little short on time, but the reporting piece is all going to be here in the reporting tab. So if you want to run a web report, the way that I always do it honestly, if I'm looking at a client, let's say I want to see how my household is doing, I'll come in here to the the household details page. Down here, you'll see all the reports that have been generated for this household. Notice there are none because it's brand new, but I can view the web report here, and that's going to run here with the defaults that I have and generate the summary. Now, it looks like this particular account household doesn't have anything. Let me go to a better example. So this is the household details page. If you scroll down, you'll see the reports, the web report, the printable reports, the PDF reports down here. You can always download. These are the things that are also visible in the client's portal if you've turned that on. And this also lists out the accounts that are, accounts that are in the household. These little carrots will always pop open to give you more details, and you can make assignments here as well. You can also download these reports here. These are the same PDF reports that you've seen before. Nothing new there. It's just a different place to see them and a different place to view them. This is also where you'll manage if you want to remove a report and say, hey, actually, there were some errors on this report, or hey, actually, I made a mistake and ran it for the wrong time period. We can actually just delete this report from here. And it's gone. You'll notice at the household level, you can assign benchmarks here as well as on the client's page. You can also assign them here on the account details page, either splits, benchmarks, fee structures, target allocations. And then this is also Chad, custodian build versus directly build. This is where you would change it as well on the account level. If you selected directly build, this would mean that there are no invoices would be generated rather than payments. We've also tried to collect in the new theme all the settings together. So if we come in here to the settings, this is where all the settings are here on the left-hand side. So firm settings, client settings, role settings, billing settings, reporting settings. All of these are here. So if you have a question about how do I find the settings for a given thing, the best way of doing that is come up to your name and click settings, and then you'll be able to, from here, navigate to whichever section you're looking at. The last thing I like to highlight here is just to pop into this menu here. This will show you all the updates. If you're generating a billing report or a PDF report, this is where you're going to be able to really see them and be able to see the progress there. So if you can pop that open, you'll always be able to see it here. And I think I lied, actually. The last thing I always like to highlight is if you have any questions, the best way of doing that is right down here in the help section. You can click that. It's a picture of me right there. In fact, I'm the one staffing the desk today. But you'll be able to ask any questions. You can search our knowledge base. So if you're like, hey, how do I do an, let's call it a fee relocation? Searching for fee relocation will bring up updating fee locations. That sounds good. And you'll be able to see exactly how to do that. And again, as I said, everything's been updated here to reflect the new version of the website and sort of walk you through it step by step. Of course, if there's a question that you have that didn't have an answer there, send us a message and we'll try to respond as quick as we can. Now, I wanted to pause and see if there are any questions at all in terms of things I didn't cover, things you hope I'd cover, any questions that are specific to your firm. Great, if that's all that we have, I think I'll hand it back over to Andrea to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope it was informative, if not entertaining. I know your billing and reporting software may not be the most exciting thing you do today, but hopefully it'll make your jobs more efficient and better orient to get you to the stuff that is really impactful with your clients, which is having those conversations that are important for planning for their futures and their retirement and their financial goals.
Thank you, Mike. Just as a reminder, any questions that come up or anything we didn't get to today, you can always send that to us via chatting at us through your Atlas or emailing us at support@bridgeft.com. That goes to the whole team. Thanks again, everyone, for your time today. We hope this was helpful for you. And we'll be sending out a recording of the webinar probably either this week or early next week. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
And I forgot to mention, have a great holiday weekend as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're able to get some time out there somewhere where it's nice weather.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll talk soon. Bye.